We are? Okay, thank you very much, Clerk's Department. Welcome everyone to the Monday, May 27, 2024 council meeting. Council is here along with many of our staff, and we also have a good audience here tonight as well, here in the council chambers. Council has met previously at 5 o'clock for a brief in-camera closed session, and we've now returned. It is just a little after 5:30, so we're going to get going on our regular agenda. First, like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tietzanati, the Wendat, and is the home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships, and we ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. As always, it's my honor to say the land acknowledgement at the beginning of our council meetings as the mayor of the township, and I do it voluntarily. Council, as I said, we're going to move on in our agenda to item number 2, which is approval of the agenda. So we'll move to that. Recommendation be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated May 27, 2024 as presented, and if I may, as amended. We did withdraw a couple of items. The clerk can tell us about that in a moment. Look for a mover and seconder to get it on the floor. Broderick and MacArthur, thank you very much. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Worship. Through you to the rest of council and the public. We removed the DC bylaws. There was 4 of them on the agenda for tonight. We received some comments from the development community over the weekend. So staff and our consultants going to assess those comments. And we're going to bring the bylaw forward at the June 24th meeting. That will also give us time to review if there's any changes from the provincial level as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, council. We've got a mover and seconder. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And the adoption of agenda has completed. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Is there anything during the session of council for our councillors? Seeing none, if anything comes up during the meeting, please bring it forward and we'll deal with it right away. Council, going to move to item number 4. Excuse me, public participation period. Please, I'll read the acknowledgement here, and I noted that there are some folks in our audience, so perhaps they'll come forward. Before I do that, though, Madam Deputy Clerk, were there any electronic participations this week?
No, Your Worship, there were not.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Be advised that the comments expressed during the public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation, or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting, or any item considered confidential. And as always, please remember to share the time with your fellow citizens. And the last thing I would like to mention is tonight we will be dealing with the official plan. The official plan has had a public meeting, has had multiple public inputs, and so comments about the official plan tonight will not be permitted on public participation period. At this time, the floor is open. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak in public participation period? Going once. Oh, hello. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Nice to have you in our chambers once again, Bob. Nice to see you.
Thank you. I hope this is not going to go against what you've just said there. But Your Worship, members of council and staff, I'm speaking to you tonight as a member of the Building and Development team of the Clearview Sustainability Network. This evening, council has been asked to approve the new official plan. The Building and Development team had reviewed the initial draft plan with through a sustainability lens point of view, and made a number of recommendations and suggestions.
So, Bob, I'll give you the first caution.
Yes.
We're listening.
I understand. Having now reviewed the final version, we believe it to be a meaningful step forward in preparing Clearview to address the impacts of climate change. Council and staff often receive negative feedback despite their best efforts. But with respect to the official plan revision, we as a group wanted to provide positive feedback on a job well done. On behalf of the group, I want to thank council and staff and the consultants for the hard work in reviewing the official plan, an enormous job, which we recognize. There is much to be accomplished, and we look forward to working with the Climate Action Advisory Committee and township staff in whatever capacity we may be of value. Congratulations to
Thank you.
everyone who worked on this. It really is a job well done on an enormous project.
All right. Thank you, Bob, for those comments. Appreciate that very much. Again, just for clarity, we have to be very clear that the public participation cannot bring any changes to the plan or any changed ideas. So your comments are welcome. Thank you. Anybody else from the public who has any questions, comments, anything for public participation period? Going twice. And the third time, thank you very much for participating in public participation. All right, council, we're going to close the public participation mic. We're going to move to our regular agenda and have item number 5. Today, we do have a deputation from Georgian Communities, item 5.1. I'd like to welcome Jay Beach, who is the Vice President of Development from Georgian Communities. Jay has a full presentation and he has a team of people with him, which I hope he'll take a moment to introduce. Have you turned the microphone back on, Jay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
We handed out some pamphlets and I hope everyone has received them. Is that correct?
Yep.
I have in attendance today, Mr. Massey, Mr. Jamie Massey, and Mr. Andrew Massey. They're not going to speak today, but I'm sure if you had any specific questions for them, they'd be happy to answer during the question period. We're here today what's on the screen right now, just a presentation on who we are, what we've done in the past, and how we're going to do it moving forward. Living remarkably is a key catchphrase. We've worked tirelessly to have this presentation in front of council, members of staff, and Mr. Mayor, yourself through you, to offer our next steps on the Ottawa, now what we'll call the Village in Ottawa by Georgian Communities, from where we're at from the Dells Auto lands that we just purchased from the Dells Auto family. So as a result of the staff report PW 009-2024 Georgian Communities sewer allocation presented to council on Monday, April 29th, we felt it was appropriate to provide an update on who we are, how we're going to do it, and when we're going to do it. Next slide, please. First of all, who we are. Georgian International, established in 1981, head office located in downtown Barrie, one of Simcoe County's most influential companies and recognized names. We're known for our uncompromised commitment to growth and for making a positive contribution to the communities in which we operate. A parent companies of Georgian Communities, whose name you'll hear throughout the next decade through the Village in Ottawa. Next slide, please. Our executive leadership team, again, previously introduced, Jamie Massey, Andrew Massey, Dan Revel, Chief Financial Advisor, and Dave Bunston, who most of you have met through different meetings we've had. Next slide, please. A few stories and highlights. Again, I will emphasize a few stories of the philanthropy and generosity the Massey family has brought to Simcoe County and beyond. The Borden Legacy Project, 100 years of service. Georgian College, Auto Business School of Canada, driving education forward. Next slide, please. J.C. Massey Field and Georgian College, from the past for the future, I should say. Barrie Colts, Barrie Molson Center, building a community. Very proud, landmark generosity, philanthropy efforts that are just a few of the stories that the Massey family's brought. The last two slides, the Massey family has contributed locally, more recent local sponsorships. We are proud to support the Collingwood Blues Junior A team, Stainer Siskins Junior C team, the Grey Bruce Highlanders U11 AAA team, Township of Clearview 3-on-3 tournament, and all of the Township of Clearview small halls events, including the recent golf tournament that's coming up next Monday. We're all proud to support that, and just small tokens of our generosity and our commitment to each small community. Next slide, please. History timeline. We spent some time putting this together, just a chronology of how Georgian International has started and where we're at today. Georgian Pontiac Buick dealership, 1981. Georgian Aircraft founded 1984. Georgian International Land Corp established in 1986. Next slide, please. Georgian Pontiac Chevrolet GMC relocates, 1990. Georgian Sports and Entertainment established, 1991. Georgian Aircraft signs contract, 1997. Next slide, please. Georgian BMW and Mini Georgian begins, 2008. First home sold at Windfall, which we'll get into later in the presentation, 2013. Braystone Estates sells first home, 2014. The last history timeline, Braystone Club acquired in 2017. That's located in the township of Oro that we're very proud of. First phase sold in Project of the Year in Mountain House at Windfall sells its first home and condominium, 2018. Clubhouse opens at Braystone Club, 2019. Then the last slide of our timeline. Georgian International relocates to Mulcaster Street. Victoria Annex begins its sales program in 2023. Craighurst Crossing, most recently, model homes opened in 2023. Next slide, please. Our company until 2024 consists of two arms right now under Georgian International's umbrella. Georgian Hospitality being the Braystone Club, the kitchen, upcountry venues, and the common good that's located in downtown Barrie at a office that we previously owned on Bayfield Street. Georgian Communities, our very proud portfolio of development projects in Simcoe County, is Mountain House at Windfall, Braystone Estates, Craighurst Crossing, Windfall at Blue, Victoria Annex, and our future project in Ottawa. Next slide, please. What we stand for. We've gone through this and kind of reset.
Welcome to our new chambers. We're still learning some of the technology here just to make sure that it's 100%. I'd prefer if we just wait to get your microphone working for you and then we can. Oh, that's okay. I know. I appreciate you. I want to hear you on the golf course yelling 4. How's that? Okay, we'll hear you at the tournament. And thank you very much for supporting that. That's great.
That work?
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we'll get right to it for what we stand for. And again, we put a lot of thought, time, and effort in the last 6 months, making sure that this was done correctly. This presentation gave us an opportunity to reset on how we are as a company, our purpose, our mission, and our vision. So our purpose, we exist to create remarkable communities and cultivate a lifestyle that connects Canadians with their families, neighbors, and nature. Our mission, to set the benchmark for community development through unparalleled expertise, quality, passion, and drive. Our vision, to be Canada's most dynamic, trusted, value development community partner. Each community we create is an opportunity to deliver something truly remarkable. Next slide, please. Just a small overview of our portfolio that we have existing, and then we'll get into some smaller details in Ottawa, and that's really what we wanted to present today. Mountain House at Windfall, delivering 230 units, 12 mid-rise condos, and spa-like amenities right at the base of Blue Mountain. I'm sure some of you have seen it, driving through on Mountain Road on the entry to the Blue Mountains. Braystone Estates, currently underway, trying to sell our 11 of 229 lots that are available. Beautiful, remarkable community that I'm very proud to finish for the Massey family and Georgian for that matter. Oro-Medonde location, 0.5 to 1.5 acre lots, detached bungalow, loft, 2-story, common element condo, access to Braystone Farm, trail, skating pond, sugar shack, pumpkin patch, orchard, and more. I encourage you all to visit one time if you ever have an opportunity out there. Next slide, please. Just a small site plan on what the community is and where it's located in Simcoe County. Next slide, please. Craighurst Crossing, located in the township of Oro-Medonte, just 10 minutes north of Barrie. This project consists of 400 units with strategic property acquisitions, is on target to deliver over 700 units over the next 10 years. This community has truly stabilized our commitment to building small town Canada, and it's currently underway, and we're very proud of it. Our home construction team is expected to start building pre-sold homes in mid-August of this year, and we're really excited to unveil that. Next slide, please, which is up. So just some small property details of the village of Craighurst, 50 to 100 foot lot, 50 by 100 foot lot, average lots, detached bungalow lofts, 2-story, freehold, Community trails, again mentioned, 10 minutes from Barrie, Horseshoe Valley Resort, golf spa, and much more. Selling phase one, 17 of 58 lots available in the range of 1.1 to 1.4 million. Some photos on the screen that was just on the next slide, I believe, is our Highlander model that just won the model home of the year under 2,500 square foot. We're pretty proud of that, and we'll get into that a little further in the slides. Next slide is our Windfall at Blue Mountain site, which most of you might be familiar with. It's adjacent to the Mountain House home projects. 659 units. We're currently in our final phase, and it's truly a flagship project for our team. With only about 100 lots left to sell, we truly see that home construction team moving to Ottawa and transitioning and keeping long-term employment for our team. So just wanted to highlight that. Next slide is our site plan. It just shows the close proximity to the base of the Blue Mountain and the village itself. So again, exciting project that we've delivered successfully and want to transition into the township of Clearview. So next slide, please. Smaller project, Victoria Annex, shovel ready. We're servicing it currently right now, and we plan on going for our registration very shortly. This project was passed through many developers' hands. Some of you may know about it. I went through a very lengthy heritage impact assessment, structural design process, ensuring the existing school stayed intact. We were able to handle that successfully, ultimately delivering homes starting in June 2024. So next slide, please. Just a map on the general location in Collingwood, where we're delivering our exciting new Victoria Annex project. And then transitioning into the next slide, which is our site plan, just gives a broad overview. So on the perimeter, 14 units that are freehold, 3 coach house apartment units, and 2 very special semi-detached units that are located in the existing schoolhouse that are going through some major structural reinforcement right now. So, okay, next slide. Our commitment, reputation to integrity, community engagement, experienced consultants, market knowledge, financial stability, efficient process, and quality craftsmanship, all things we're committed to from Georgia Communities and have proven on our projects that we just mentioned before. Next slide, please. Award-winning, long list of awards that we've won throughout our projects. Just really want to not emphasize, but highlight the most recent 2024 Excellence in Production Built Home under 2,500 square foot, the Highlander model we previously shown. 2024 Excellence in Print Media. Those were all won at the Simcoe County Home Builders Association Awards banquet. We are up for the Ontario Home Builders Award Association banquet coming up, and I'm sure we're going to get some at least acknowledgements on the finalists there. Next slides. Village in Ottawa, where are we getting to? 30,000 foot level, where the Georgia Communities symbol is the Dells Auto lands, formerly known the Dells Auto lands, now the Village of Ottawa lands owned by Georgia Communities. Next slide, please. Existing draft plan approved in 2011. Just a kind of a site statistics on what we inherited from the Dells Auto family. The 192 single family detached units, 278 condo units, 30 mixed use units, all part of a 2011 draft plan, approved plan. Next slide will kind of tell our next steps for the project. So the Village in Ottawa, phase 1. We're using the draft plan approved lot fabric and providing a connection to County Road 124, stormwater management block, and in parallel our water and wastewater strategy outlined in the staff report in April. Ultimately, what we would like to do is advance the 118 single family detached units to not change the draft plan at all. Phase 2, we would go through a comprehensive OPA red line revision and zoning application to ensure that we get it right. We've had that consultation with staff. We think there's an opportunity to not make it better, but enhance it to make it a more community connectivity and deliver what we truly believe in as the right community. Our team went through a very similar process, the Craighurst Crossing site. The preliminary planning executive vision has really paid off exponentially. We feel strongly that this project deserves the same level of commitment to quality and good sound planning. So we're excited to bring that on, but we feel that advancing the 118 single family previously approved units is a way that we can do that both in parallel. Next slide, please, is a high level schedule prepared by our consultant, CF Crozier. Has us delivering homes in 2026. So there's a lot of heavy lifting to do, considering we haven't touched the site yet. Aggressive schedule, but they put their name on it, so we're going to present it. The schedule was prepared again by our civil consultant. We have a first submission that's already in with the town earlier this month. We want continue to stay on track and achieve required milestones. Our next major step, as per the staff report, is to obtain wastewater allocation from the town of Collingwood and advance the expansion of the McKean water supply system. So all stuff that we're committed to as our team, and we're excited to bring it forward. Next slide, please. Just wanted to highlight next steps: initiate external sanitary designs, Q2 2024, preliminary design approvals, internal. Start an earthworks project program in Q4 2024. Start external sanitary construction Q2 2025. Start water treatment facility Q2 2025, and start internal civil servicing. All necessary to deliver the projects and obtain our home construction schedule team to start in 2026. Again, a lot of heavy lifting. We are fully aware of the achievements we need to do to get there, but we're committed to do so, and we were hoping that today's presentation would help that move forward. So thank you for your time. Mr. Mayor, members of council, staff, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity and clarify who we are as Georgia Communities. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you have any directly for the Massive family, they're here in the background.
All right. Well, I'll say this, welcome to the community. Nice to have you here. Members of council, do you have any questions to Jay or other representatives? Yes, go ahead there, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Jay was, if most of this council was in attendance when we had our previous meeting, which was very, very well received. Of course, our big ask or big concern, I guess, from yourself right now, have we been successful with the cross-border servicing for the sewage treatment for that, your project? Or where are we at with that for information?
Through you, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Van Sterven. Ultimately, the staff report that was presented to council on April 29th has authorized staff to start negotiations with the town of Collingwood. I believe that's been started ultimately, and we're in preliminary negotiations right now.
Okay, so right now, that's what effect will, if they are agreeable to, obviously, oh, it's a green light. If they're not agreeable to it, we did talk previously about self-servicing. Is that on the table still? Are we considering that?
We're hoping our relationship in the town of Collingwood and following the EA that's previously been approved allows that channel of servicing to happen. Upgrades have been pre-purchased by the Del's Auto family. There's a letter of intent from the town of Collingwood in 2008 acknowledging the EA. Our strategy is to follow the environmental assessment recommendation and connect to the town of Collingwood. We have proven that there's residual capacity. We just need to go through the process and allow an agreement to proceed.
And sticking with the self-servicing from a water point of view, because I understand we had a successful well there, which was nice to hear. So that's good. Okay, thank you.
Correct, yes.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Are there other questions from other staff members or council members? The staff have been working on this project quite a bit. Nothing further? All right. Jay, I would like to say that your initial design, of the facility also leaves a little question mark to me in regard to the access from County Road 124. I believe the original agreement from 2011 included a lighted intersection or a light controlled intersection. Is that still something that's in your sort of vision? Is the community looking at having a bit of a traffic light right there to access the subdivision off of 124?
Mr. Mayor, if you allow me, there's a traffic impact assessment.
Yes.
That's going to be required that we've initiated our civil consultant Croziers to do. That'll be all identified as part of the traffic signal. It's also identified in the draft plan conditions. We just haven't gotten there at this point.
I
would
understand.
imagine a full urbanization connectivity being the new gateway to the village in Ottawa.
There's no doubt it will be at the south end of the village. So I can see that could be a real plus for the community. So thank you very much for that. I really have nothing further. I'm really glad you had the opportunity to come and make a presentation here today. Did you have something else? Paul, what's something else you want to add?
Jay, I'm still excited from our last meeting we had. When hearing your first phase is basically an existing phase that Johnny Del's Auto did. So now we're going to be, you're running with that. The next phase is we'll be hopefully having a little chat, chinwag, because I know the Massey family is very supportive of sports and stuff like that. So please keep us in your thoughts when you get into that, and we would love to do some arm wrestling. So just put you on notice. Jamie's here in public. I usually see Jamie at the Vimy Day or at the base sort of thing in our presentations, but it's nice to just give him a little dig on that one sort of thing. So
All right.
thanks, Jay.
Thank you. There is one last announcement I wanted to make.
Oh, sure.
We're gonna do a voluntary public information session to all of the Nottawa community. The time we've flagged is August 14th in the evening. The location's to be determined. So
Oh,
we
okay.
will announce that and deal with the planning staff to properly convey that message, location, so everyone can be included. I wouldn't want to call it a design charrette, but it's more of a public information session, and hopefully we have some more news about our sanitary connection by then.
All right, we've got a couple of months ahead of us then to get to that point.
Sure.
And as far as the location, in our village of Nottawa, there's basically two locations you can meet. So it's either going to be the community hall or the church, right? The cornerstone. So
We've
one or
had
the
that
other.
all- We've
Okay.
had that in mind. Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Listen, thank you very much. And thank you to the Massey family for being here today. And it's good to see you guys. All the best. Thank you for coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Phyllis Deneen had a question. Phyllis, just get in there and say hello.
It was just more of just a comment, and thanks for coming today, Jay, for doing this with everybody and putting it out there. Really appreciate it. Just, I guess the next time we meet, we'll have to just include a few other people with us. That was all.
Certainly.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Phyllis. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Well done, Jay. Nice to see you. Have a good evening. All right, council, we're going to move on our agenda. It's nice to get an update there. So we're going to move to item number 6. There's no public meeting tonight. We do have the approval of the council meeting minutes. For a recommendation, be it resolved, council of the township Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the May 13, 2024 council meeting as presented. I'll look for a mover and seconder. Mr. MacArthur, Mr. Broderick, thank you very much. Any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? All right, that carries unanimous. Thank you. And then over to business arising from the minutes. Is there any? No, seeing none. Okay, then we'll go straight to communications from the mayor. We do have a closed session report, just a brief report to bring forward from our closed session. It was a brief closed session. What can I say? I think it was all of 16, 17 minutes, something like that. Nevertheless, council did bring this recommendation forward. So after I read this, I'll look for a mover and seconder from this council. Here we go. Recommendation be it resolved that council of the township Clearview hereby appoint the following applicants to the respective committee and boards. Marjorie Lang to the Creemore Log Cabin and Jail Service Board. Robert Thomas to the Brentwood Community Center Hall Board, and Ken Walker to the Committee of Adjustment. And that council direct staff to amend appointment bylaw 22-101, adding these committee and board appointments. Can I get a mover and seconder? Deneen and Beelan, thank you so much. All right. And is there any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Okie dokie. And further, under items, communications from the mayor, there are several motions. Now, they are lengthy, but they're important. So I have 2 motions here to read. The first one comes from Councillor Broderick. We put it on the agenda here, and I'm happy that it's on here, Councillor Broderick. I'm going to consider you the mover of this motion, then we'll look for a seconder, and then we can have a discussion on it if necessary. Give me a moment. Council, Loyalist Township Housing and Funding. Whereas the Township of Clearview is in need of $78,000 in funding to complete the Klondike Park Well Project, for which the township owns the well site and has completed all the necessary testing and approvals to confirm that it will supply water to the development of new homes in Clearview Township. And whereas the township cannot afford to increase water and sewer rates to fund all of this infrastructure, and whereas increased debt to build the project will just increase costs to water and sewer rates or increasing costs to developers. And whereas Clearview Township is currently experiencing a housing crisis from all citizens, and whereas the Klondike Park Well Project is projected to accommodate 4,150 new residential units once completed, of which 3,200 units have been planning approval. And whereas Clearview Township is not currently eligible for funding under the provincial Building Faster Fund, as its population is below the threshold, and whereas Clearview Township is submitted or has submitted an application to the Provincial Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, which has only 825 million available in funding, of which the province would only fund up to 73% of a maximum of 35 million for one project. And whereas additional funding has not been allocated from the federal government to enhance the housing enabled water systems funding. Now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby support the resolution from Loyalist Township regarding housing funding as it relates to infrastructure, recognizing that Clearview Township is experiencing the same issues and affordability for upgrades to municipal services for houses, and that Clearview Township calls on the federal government to reevaluate their lack of funding for municipalities with a population less than 50,000 in rural Ontario, and to make available funding for infrastructure programs to help build infrastructure, to help build much needed new homes. And further, that the province of Ontario be asked to prioritize funding from the $825 million Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund to municipalities without housing targets that are not eligible for funding under the Building Faster Fund. And further, that this motion be circulated to the Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, Honorable Sean Fraser, Federal Minister for Housing, Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Minister of Infrastructure, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Simcoe Grey, MP Terry Dowdle, and our Simcoe Grey MPP Brian Saunderson. Moved by Mr. Broderick. Council, is there a seconder? Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you very much. Mr. Broderick, would you like to speak to the motion?
Well, I think you did a pretty good job of speaking to the motion. The motion, the motion itself carries all the relative information. It's we need some help. It's bottom line.
All right.
It's my Hail Mary.
Hail Mary, I get you. Members of council, any other questions, comments? No? I'll give one comment, and that is that, yes, we did make an application. Yes, we have had positive comments come to us from Infrastructure Ontario. And so we have full faith that they are going to be following their plan and deliver a funding opportunity for us here in Clearview Township. And we're anticipating a phone call on that at any time. And I'm quite confident, council, that when that phone call comes through, you'll get a subsequent call from me very shortly thereafter. Nevertheless, that's the story from here. Is there anybody with any other questions? All right, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Next page has another motion on it, which also has a little bit of length to it. This one actually, just for reference, council, comes from the county of Simcoe. And this was forwarded to our clerk's office and my office in regards to the Yes in My Backyard Week, which Simcoe County is declaring, and many municipalities around us have done the same. So I'm reading this as a proclamation. Whereas the Township of Clearview is a vibrant community of people who take care of each other. And whereas everyone in the township deserves a safe, affordable, hopeful place to call home. And whereas societies where everyone can participate in and contribute to their community are more stable, resilient, prosperous, happy, and healthy. And whereas ending homelessness is a complex problem that can only be solved through the collaborative and innovative partnerships, committed leadership, and supportive engaged citizen. Now, therefore, I, Doug Measures, Mayor of the Township of Clearview, do hereby and proclaim the week of May the 27th to the 31st, 2024 as Yes in My Backyard, or YIMBY Week. Council, I ask you to raise your hand if you support this recommendation or this proclamation. Thank you. Proclamation will carry, and we are going to have a flag raising ceremony. I believe we've already got that scheduled. Madam Clerk, is that tomorrow, isn't it? I think it's tomorrow. I'm not too sure. I think it's, yes, sir. What would you like to say, Paul?
I believe we are in county council. We will be
Yep.
doing it the same proclamation after county council before committee of a whole tomorrow. So it's a countywide initiative.
For sure it is, yeah. I know it's scheduled. Just a minute. Suzette sent me a message. Let me just make sure I have it here.
Maybe for the county one tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it's 3 o'clock. But anyway, we'll confirm that with members of council to let you know when there's going to be a little flag raising. Thank you very much, council. By the way, we did slip that into the agenda right at the last minute. So thank you to the clerk for allowing us to put that in there. Okay, we're going to move on to our county reports, and there's a joint advisory regarding the semi-annual electric vehicle show that's returning to Simcoe County. If anybody has ever attended it, you'll have seen that there's a lot of electric vehicles that are there, and actually some owners of vehicles rather than just the dealerships are there. So you can talk to owners and get some of their personal stories and successes and issues that they may or may not have with owning an electric vehicle. And that's information is available there. Paul, do you have anything you want to add in regard to the county reports?
Thank you, Your Worship. In our last meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, we had an update on Simcoe Manor for Beaton, which is our new multi-use facility. It's a community facility. It's a new type of construction where we'll have all types of accommodation. And it's a very impressive facility. It's going to be another 2 to 3 years for the build, but they're out of the ground now. So that's good to see. Big thing a lot of people are going to hear about is about organics and what we're doing with our garbage. 25% of the people do not use our green bin right now in Clearview in Simcoe County. And the biggest problem, if we have to get that organics out of our landfills, I know we only have another couple of years left and our landfills will be full, but the problem with organics is they create methane, and that's a major problem for this community. So as of the recommendation, and there's still a bit of arm wrestling going on with it, but as of November 1st, 2024, carts will be tagged if no organic bin is put at the curb. December 1st, 2024, there'll be no pickup of garbage if there's no organics. So it's a very strong arm method of dealing with stuff, but we've got a crisis, we'll call it, in regards to garbage, and we have to get that product out of the landfill sites and into the proper areas for recycling. Service Simcoe will be responding to the calls. We do not have a deal yet, is what we refer to as IC&I users, the industrial, the commercial and institutional users. But we are working towards that. So Doug, I think that pretty much covers it. And it was a long conversation or discussion at council last meeting. And I expect to see another one before too long again. So anyways, that's as far as county concerns.
Deputy Mayor, I would expect it was going to be another long discussion about this very issue again tomorrow. And it's mainly because there's a considerable effort by many members of county council who believe that this is a premature program to bring it out at this time. So there are some pros and cons to this story. So we will not know for sure what happens until it gets finalized at county council for sure. But the truth is, you spoke the right words there, and that is that our landfill sites do have a limited number of days and years left on them. And so we need to conserve that the best we can. Methane production actually limits the ability of the landfill site to actually be effective. So we need to get those composted materials out of the landfill sites for sure.
And we all know that we will, as our landfill fills up, like after what happened on with Site 41 a number of years ago, everybody's gun shy as far as creating new landfills. It isn't going to happen. So right now we are looking at transporting the waste out of province of Ontario. And waste, the organics in particular, is a very heavy product that we have to deal with. And it's the old story, it may not be in our backyard in 2 years, but it's still going to be somewhere. So it's not a cost and I put it to people, when we start talking about organics and removing organics from our waste, it's not going to save us money. It's going to save our environment. So it's very important to understand that we have to do it to protect the environment. So anyways, thank you, Your Worship.
It'll be a very interesting discussion tomorrow. There's no doubt. Okay. Any questions about county programs for members of council? No? Okay. We're going to move on then in our agenda to item number 11, which is our award reports. This time I'm going to start with Mr. Broderick and then we'll go to Mr. Walker. How's that?
Thank you, Your Worship. May 11th, May 14th, attended Clearview Chamber of Commerce Executive Meeting. On the 15th, along with the mayor, attended the Angora Glass's 13th anniversary and plant tour. I was certainly impressed with the tour and the facility and the capabilities there. May 16th, attended the Clearview Tulip Festival. Also on the 16th, hosted the Clearview Chamber of Commerce Business After 5. May 21st, attended the Clearview Library Board meeting. And also on the 21st, the Clearview Chamber of Commerce meeting featuring chamber talks by Hillary Thorne and MJ Ridgway from the TD Bank on tips to identify and avoid fraud, which is becoming a bigger issue all the time. And tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon will be the Creemore BIA meeting. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then thank you for joining me on the tour of Ignore. That was very interesting. It was good to be there. Hello there, Councillor MacArthur. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Very short and sweet. Creemore Farmers Market got underway a week ago Saturday, so that's going to happen every Saturday throughout the summer. And visited it there quick on Saturday, and nice array of goodies and stuff to purchase there. So I encourage everybody to get out and support local. And just sympathies to the Jack Shields family. Astound Glen Huron community member all his life till the last couple of years when he moved to staying there. So sympathies to the Shields family. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's for sure. Paul, we'll skip by you. How about Phyllis? Councillor Deneen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. I attended the lawn bowling, the 100th
Yes.
anniversary of the Stainer Lawn Bowling on Saturday. Albeit it was wet, but we had a really nice time. It was really nice to meet all the volunteers that have been there for decades even. It was really interesting. And a note from Nottawa, the Nottawa Hall Scrap Metal Drive is over now. We don't have any numbers, but I've been told we'll be very happy with the results. And if anybody drives through, they'll notice that Theatre Collingwood is going to have a drama camp at the Nottawa Hall in July 8th to the 12th for 7 to 12-year-olds, which would be interesting. And the email address is there if anyone would like to register. We still have our martial arts on Monday and Wednesday there, and dance on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's a busy little hall. And thanks everybody for their support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. May 15th, Station on the Green had a meeting. The committee approved painting the outside and awarded the contract. The painting is to start before June. Apparently this Wednesday, they're going to start painting it. May 16th was Tulip Days. It was a good time. The weather was good. The food was good, and there was a lot of people there. Adina and the committee did a fantastic job. And Adina, thanks for the thank you card. May 22nd was the second meeting of the Climate Action Committee. I'd like to thank the Public Works Department and the Planning Department for their presentation. And the last bit of news I have is the old fire hall in New Lowell has been torn down. It's a different look there when you go by. There you go.
Thank you very much. Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to skip the accessibility for a minute, and I'll come back to that. On May 16th, we were there for the Tulip Festival. On May 21st was Library Board meeting. And just a couple highlights. They were They received their approval for both the summer programs, so they're busy interviewing students for that. Discovery Library Day Summer at the Dunedin and Ottawa this summer. More information to come forward. Receiving quotes for the windows for the new Lowell branch. Then on the 25th, the 100th anniversary, Standard Lawn Bowling. And now talk about accessibility. This is National Accessibility Week. And the fire department and the accessibility committee have jointly ventured into a decal set. This decal will assist first responders with identifying residents who may need extra assistance. Place individual stickers on the main decal and display decal by your front door. This is brought to you by the Clearview Accessibility and the Clearview Fire Services. This is the main decal that will be going, that people will put by their front door. We have then 7 of the symbols, national symbols, that you can peel off and put on that decal. So if you have a service dog, you have, well, they're all there. Wheelchair, deaf, hearing, vision. It's all there. So, and the libraries, we're initiating this at the markets. June 6th, we'll have a booth at the Stainer, and June 8th will be in Creemore. And then the libraries will be carrying these kits for those that require them to pick them up. And the information is on the front. And if they have any questions, they please contact the Accessibility Committee. Could be more than glad to talk to people about the kits. This goes back to years ago. At one point in time, Stainer Fire Department had a logbook of those that needed special assistance. And that logbook, when people moved, was never updated. So then it became an obsolete piece of information. So the committee, talking with the fire department, decided that we would come up with this, and we're hoping that people get these, they use them properly, and if they're moving or leave, that they remove the sticker from their front door or from the window, wherever they place it, just to help. But this is to help the first responders identify when they get to a building that there is a possible need for assistance. And so that's all I would like to say on that. Looking forward to dialogue with people on the 6th at the market in Stainer and in Creemore. And we have a June 3rd Stainer Habitat for Humanity, 218 Christopher Street at 10 o'clock on Monday, June the 3rd. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. And thank you to the committee for putting that program together along with our fire department. So look forward to hearing more about that and how that rolls out and is successful. Deputy Mayor, back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. First thing I want to talk a bit about is the NVCA. We had a meeting this past Friday. It was a virtual meeting, May 24th. There's a big, I'll say, change coming again in regards to Bill 185. Our Greg Merrick, our senior planner, is looking at reviewing the policies, but a lot of it's coming down to more limitations to the powers of NVCA. For a lot of people, that's a positive. Anyways, we're very open-eared to what's going to be happening in the next little while. The other big challenge on it, the Ministry of Environment, who basically controls the conservation authorities, can now be able to overrule a lot of the applications or appeals, we'll say. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. As enough on the NVCA, May 16th, we attended the Tulip Festival, and I just want to thank Marty Beelan, who did a great job on hosting it and emceeing it. And there's really a positive view for next year again. It's really a nice, let's say, signature series, and it was very, very well attended. This past Saturday, group where we were at the 100th anniversary of the lawn bowling, and weather challenged us a bit, but our MP or MPP and our mayor were very able to present a nice positive spin on the weather and everything else. So it was nice to see that. And for those who hadn't been there, they've got a beautiful facility. We even had members from Wasaga Beach there, because our Wasaga Beach neighbors are very important to the viability of that organization. So it was good to see. As was mentioned previously, May 29th, we had, I'm not sure yet, the Stainer Heritage Society is having a 7 o'clock presentation from some of the military people they've got coming. They haven't said where it is. You got it?
Got it right here.
Okay, I'll defer that to you. We have on the we have Trail Tunes this weekend, June 1st. June 3rd, we have Habitat for Humanity on Christopher Street at 10 o'clock, followed by the Small Halls Golf Tournament. So I hope you don't expect big things from our golfers, but we will be there in spirit and we'll be there to support them, and so much for that game. Back to you, Your
Time to
Worship.
golf anymore, do we?
No.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, members of council. Council, I have a couple items I want to mention. It was mentioned that the market starts here on the 6th, here on the Thursday, the 6th. Fantastic. 10 years that we've been hosting the music market and market here in Stainer. The Spoons are going to be here in our community once again. The Spoons, like, I can't think of anybody whose high school in Ontario didn't have the Spoons play at it, right? I mean, every high school, they played in every high school in Ontario. So they didn't play at your high school? Well, then you better come out and enjoy the show and think that it's 1985. Okay? Because it's a great band. The Spoons are going to be back here at our stage, so we're looking forward to that. This weekend was super busy. There was a lot of fun things going on, and it actually demonstrated to me the culture and recreation and just great things that happen in our community. So I want to just point out, I started out on Friday night at the 10 by 10 art show that was put on by the Purple Hills Arts and Heritage Society. I went down to see that, walked around, talked to a lot of people, talked to a lot of artists, met some new artists in our community. I didn't know were even here. And it was really encouraging to see the arts community as alive and well, in our community. So it was a pleasure to be there. At the little gallery on the second floor. It was lovely to be down in Creemore to go to that event. I also, with other members here, Mr. Walker, Ms. Deneen, and the Deputy Mayor, we of course went to see the Lawn Bowlers. But what reflected on me when we were at the 100th anniversary of the Stainer Lawn Bowling Club was that two things. Membership of the Lawn Bowling Club is cross-border. There are about 50% of the members of the Stainer Lawn Bowling Club come from Wasaga Beach. Very similar to our curling club here in Stainer as well. So it was kind of nice to see that. The second thing was, for an organization to run a volunteer organization like that demands work to keep the facility running, and it's all volunteer, and for it to run 100 years, that's highly commendable. Think about it. 100 years of different volunteers, generation after generation of volunteers looking after that little green over there is just impressive as anything. So I thought that was quite nice. The other thing I went to was a celebration of a friend of mine by the name of Raymond Hardesty. Raymond Hardesty, it's been 30 years since he had his life-saving bone marrow transplant. And Robert and I were talking just before the meeting here about how the community was full of, back then, rushing to the hospitals and to go get tested for bone marrow match to see if we could find a match for Ray Hardesty back in the day. And certainly a success did come. She was from New Brunswick, the donor, but it just is he's living proof that organ donation and tissue donation can save lives. And so I'm just always impressed whenever I see him, I think of that. The other thing that happened this weekend for me, I was invited to attend the Collingwood Blues banquet on Saturday night at the Royal Canadian Legion in Collingwood. And I tell you what, very impressive to be amongst the championship team, the championship players, the organizers, the managers, the staff, the coaching staff. It was just tremendous to be there. And what a great organization. They actually called me up on stage, although I didn't know I was going to go and speak. I was just happy to go there. And so I thought the thing that struck me about the Collingwood Blues is that they are the regional hockey team. When you go to a game at the Collingwood Arena to see a hockey game there, you're going to see people from Clearview Township. You're going to see people, from Essa. You're going to see people there from Thornbury and from Wasaga Beach and so on. And then, so this team does have fans that are right across the whole region. So that's what I said basically in my comments. Congratulations on them having a regional hockey team that had a national championship. So we're really happy for them. Looking forward to Trail Tunes, and I'm also looking forward to Wednesday night. As the Deputy Mayor said, The Historical Society have a special guest speaker coming in, Lieutenant Colonel Terry Wong, who is based at Base Borden right now. I guess he's going to speak about his involvement in training. He's a training tactical helicopter trainer, as well as he's been deployed in many places around the world, including Egypt and Israel and Thailand. And so he's got a real history of service to our country by working overseas. So he's going to be here speaking on Wednesday night at the Stayner Community Center in the room there, I believe. And so I look forward to being there. I'm hoping to be there. So we'll look forward to seeing many of you there as well. All right. Well, that was great. Thank you very much, members of council, for all your input and everything you do to support our community. All right, we're going to move on to our reports. We have a pretty significant report here right off the top. I am going to read the resolution. I'll look for a mover and seconder. But then we're going to have a pretty extensive conversation, and you'll have opportunity to ask questions. This is in regard to the new Clearview official plan adoption. So I'll read the recommendation, then I'll do a comment, and then I'll take it over to our Director of Planning. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 016-2024, the new Clearview official plan adoption dated May the 27th, 2024. And item 1, that council direct that the final draft of the proposed official plan, being the plan that was published on April the 19th, 2024, be revised according to the recommended revisions presented in Appendix A to this report. And item 2, that through the passing of bylaw 2438, council adopt the final draft, so revised, as the official plan of the Township of Clearview and submit that plan for the approval to the County of Simcoe. And item 3, that council direct written notice of the adoption of the proposed official plan to be given as prescribed under the Planning Act and regulations under that act. Can I get a mover and seconder on this motion, please? Deneen Walker, thank you very much. I'd like to start with comments first, and that will just say that this has been a long process to get to the official plan at this table. And at this moment, right now, this council has every opportunity to ask questions, to make recommendations, to accept it, receive it, do whatever you need to do. But the process of getting to an official plan has been very open with the public, has had extensive public consultations, public meetings. We've had lots of public input, and we have been very, very grateful. Our staff, I know, have been working very hard to do that. Let's all recall, by the way, that one of the meetings that we were going to have, it got delayed because of weather. We had to put it off. Imagine that, beautiful day like today with all this rain. We had to put off a meeting because of snow and sleet and icy roads. So, we've taken every step we can to get to this point. And so I just want to let everybody know and council know that this is where we are. This is an important decision to move this forward. It doesn't happen very often. It's supposed to happen every 5 years. And as you know, this particular official plan has been delayed and delayed and delayed with changes in regulation. Let's hope it gets through. Over to Amy Can, who is our director of that department and the lead on this whole project.
Thank
Ms.
you, Your
Can.
Worship. Thank you so much. Good evening to you and members of council, staff, and members of the public as well. I am very pleased to be here tonight with our consulting planners, Steve Weaver and Patrick Casey from GSP Group. We're here to present the recommendation report for the long-awaited new Township of Clearview official plan. So before I pass it over to Steve and Patrick, though, I did want to acknowledge some additional submissions that we've received that have been made since the recommendation report was completed and submitted to our clerk's department for publish. On May 21st, a subsequent comment was received from Michael Winia at Skelton Brumwell. Today, being Monday, May 27th, of course, comment was received from Nixon Loopstra with McPherson Builders, Tribute Communities with Crozier and Associates, Castles, Brock and Blackwell LLP with Baker Planning Group, and finally Innovative Planning Solutions for 8903 Properties, Inc. Those comments have all been forwarded to, albeit late in the day here, have been forwarded to council for your information. The comments submitted, in our opinion, do not warrant additional changes to the final draft official plan that is published and is before you this evening. And this is due to one or more reasons, including that they're site-specific and are appropriately reviewed through an applicant-driven official plan amendment application. That the policies discussed are existing policies that warrant being carried forward from our 2001 official plan, or are repeat submissions and perhaps were made earlier on in the process. So the comments will be included in the record submitted to the county, and modifications could be considered by the county through their review process and then making their decision if that's warranted. So provided there's no questions on those additional submissions, I will pass it on to Steve Weaver, President of GSP Group, to discuss the OP review process.
Any questions, members of council? All right. Steve, welcome. Nice to see you here in our chambers again.
Thank you, Mayor Measures, members of council, and thank you, Amy, for the introduction. I'd like to thank all the members of the public who participated in the process as well. It's been a long process, as you mentioned, Mayor, and we're glad to be at this point in the process as well. A lot of work, of course, has gone into preparing the new official plan. There's been multiple rounds of revisions, lots of opportunities for public input. And between Patrick and myself, we'll just briefly summarize some of the changes that we have made to the draft, the final draft, which has been online since April 19th. Just highlighting some of the key influences of the input we received. Just to recap a little bit of why we undertook this project. So I'm sure you're familiar with the fact that your current official plan was adopted back in 2001. So it's a little long in the tooth and was designed for a 20-year planning period, which has expired. And a lot has changed, of course, in the planning regime that we deal with here in Ontario and at the county level. And of course, local circumstances have changed. And the new official plan is designed to take you out to the next 30-year horizon to 2051. An initial round of public engagement and consultation was first undertaken in 2019. There's been multiple rounds since then. I won't go through the details of all the different public engagement sessions that were held, but we eventually reached the point in August of 2023 where a full draft of the new official plan was released for public information and response. And we received numerous comments both through public meetings and open houses that were held at that time, as well as written submissions. And that led to some revisions to the official plan. A non-statutory additional public meeting was held in January of this year. That was the one rescheduled due to the weather in the winter. And additional comments were received at that meeting, led to further revisions, and the final draft, as I mentioned, has been on the township's website since April 19th. Just a note on process, the new official plan is presented tonight for Township Council consideration of adoption. Following local adoption, whether that occurs tonight or at a subsequent meeting, County of Simcoe is ultimately the approval authority for the official plan. So in the meantime, your current official plan does technically remain in effect, your 2001 official plan, until the county makes a decision on your new official plan. But staff would very much consider, it would be our recommendation that staff would very much consider the new official plan direction in assessing any Planning Act application. It's also important to note that the final approval decision that is released by the county, that is the decision which is subject to appeal under the Planning Act. So that notice of decision from the county will be the one that will identify the last day where appeals may be lodged. The timeline with the county to make that decision isn't known at this point. At some point after the official plan is adopted by council, staff would then, as soon as possible, deliver the package of information required to the county. And the county does have a timeline under the Planning Act with which they are to make a decision. And that timeline can vary generally from a few months to half a year or so. We have worked closely with the county through this process with their planning staff. And we're not expecting any groundbreaking changes as it goes through the county review process, because we have received and responded to and addressed and worked through their comments that they've provided on the draft as it's evolved. Similarly, we've made every effort to avoid any potential appeals through this process. Of course, we won't know until the county issues their decision and the appeal period has lapsed whether there are any appeals that will be made. But we've endeavored to respond thoroughly to all comments received. As I said, we've made extensive revisions along the way, again, responding to feedback that we've received from agencies, the community, and council. At the time that this, things continue to move and change in the planning system in Ontario. And at the time when we were preparing this report, I think Bill 185 has already been mentioned once tonight. It is in process at the legislature, and it would have some impact to the rules for planning in Ontario. However, as it stands today, there's nothing there that prevents this council from moving forward to adopt the new official plan. The one thing that it would affect if Bill 185 does come into effect somewhere along the way is appeal rights. As it's currently drafted, it would mean that members of the public, other than prescribed organizations, would not be eligible to appeal a new official plan. So that's a pretty significant proposed legislative change that the province is currently considering. And if it does come into effect sometime after you adopt the official plan or as the county is reviewing it, it is a retroactive matter. So that would mean that there would be more limited appeal rights to the official plan. So time will tell how that unfolds, and we'll obviously be monitoring that as we go forward. Just a few other things to highlight quickly. So table 1 in the report summarizes the various requirements under the Planning Act. I want to point out that there was one set of comments that sort of raised some questions about whether some of the matters of provincial interest identified in the Planning Act had been fully addressed through this process. So to make sure that we've clearly done that, we've itemized all of those matters of provincial interest and the procedural matters that are required to be dealt with under the Planning Act, and we've summarized how those have been met. I just want to assure council that from my position, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've written many official plans, coordinated many of them, taken them through these approval processes. We have certainly met and exceeded the legislative requirements that were required to meet in order to undertake this new official plan and bring it forward for your consideration tonight. I'm also confident that it meets the legislative tests of being consistent with the provincial policy statement 2020, which remains in effect, as well as conforming with the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, still remaining in effect as well, and with the County of Simcoe official plan. I think at this point, that's what I wanted to cover in terms of process and background. And, if you're following along with the report, Patrick will kind of pick things up. I'm on page 8 of the report where he'll talk a little bit about some of the highlights of the recommended revisions to the draft. Over to you, Patrick.
Thank you, Steve, and through you, Mr. Mayor. As many people have noted, it has been a long process that has involved a good deal of public consultation, and over that process, we've heard a lot from me already, so I will endeavor to keep it brief tonight. So there's a bulleted list at the bottom of page 8 of the recommendation report that summarizes most of the, at a high level, most of the revisions that are recommended. Most of them are either corrections or clarifications. There were, to my horror, a couple of typographical errors. And then further refinements to the wording of certain policies, as well as a few revisions that were made at the recommendation of the County of Simcoe and other public agencies and public bodies. I'll call your attention to the one exception, which is the minor bylaw policies. Minor bylaws, the official plan refers to them, or the proposed new official plan refers to them as such because they're referred to as bylaws under section 34 that are of a minor nature. as bylaws under section 34, a minor bylaw would be normally subject to the same process that a zoning bylaw amendment is required to undergo. As you'll likely recall, the reason we've included minor bylaws in the proposed official plan is to streamline the process for certain proposed forms of development, mostly land uses that in like 99% of the case should be probably approved. Section 34, subsection 14.3 of the Planning Act provides that an official plan may set out alternative measures for informing and obtaining the views of the public in respect of proposed zoning bylaws. In order to do so, before such alternative measures can be included in an official plan, council is required to consider whether it would be desirable for the measures to allow for notice of the proposed bylaws to the prescribed persons and public bodies, referring to the persons and bodies who would normally receive notice of a request to amend the zoning bylaw. The recommended revisions in Article 7 of Appendix A to the recommendation report add the recommended alternative measures regarding informing the public and receiving representations about proposed minor bylaws. It involves the same giving of written notice and of notifying prescribed persons and public bodies of how they may make written submissions. The only difference is that the proposed alternative measures do not require the holding of a public meeting, again, in the interest of, it's on page 8 of the appendix if you're looking for it. Yeah. The main difference is that it does not require the holding of a public meeting for a minor bylaw. So as stated in the report, because the recommended alternative measures simply remove the requirement that a public meeting be held in respect of a requested minor bylaw and do not affect who would be given notice of that request, we recommend that council consider it desirable for the proposed alternative measures to allow for the giving of notice to the prescribed persons and public bodies, thereby fulfilling the requirement under subsection 34, 14.4 of the Planning Act and allowing the proposed official plan to set out alternative measures. For technical reasons, we've included these as a recommended revision in order to meet that requirement under the Planning Act. The other substantive or extensive revisions were made with regard to the climate change policies. Those were recommended by Simcoe County that the proposed official plan include further policies that they've been working on regarding mitigation and adaptation policies. So those are recommended for inclusion as a new section 5.6.1 of the proposed official plan. The other agency comments that led to revisions were regarding secondary uses in hydro corridors. Infrastructure Ontario and Hydro One Networks Incorporated requested that those policies be added to section 7.6, which has been done. I'll be happy to address any of the other revisions by answering questions, but I, in the interest of saving time, I don't believe that they require too much detail from me. I get, wow, that's awful. Thank you.
Patrick, thank you so much. And thank you for being back in our chambers as well. Nice to see you here. Members of council, do you have any questions to the team here that's presented to you this important document? Deputy Mayor, are you up first? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Quick question in referring to section 1124 -.12, and it says, and in regards to the minor bylaws, it notice still has to be given by personal service, ordinary mail, and email. What is personal service? Can you define, like, our concern we've had as a council is, do we have to post stuff in newspapers, for example? And it says we have to post public notice on our website now, but we do not have to use newspapers anymore. And can you just talk to that a bit, please? The three definitions.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding is that personal service would literally be delivering by hand of a notice to a person. I would emphasize that the operative word in this particular clause is or. So personal service or ordinary mail, so normal post or by email. So by any one of those particular measures or methods, notice should be given. So sometimes people like the personal touch, but there are other ways of giving notice, as we know.
So as long as we put it on our website, we do not have to post it as far as newspapers and stuff like that anymore? Or are we strictly talking about minor bylaws?
This particular policy through you, Mayor, refers to notice about minor bylaws. There are, I believe, policies in section 11.16 of the proposed official plan that deal with the giving of notice more generally. But under this proposed policy in the proposed revisions, the written notice would be given, I would say likely by ordinary mail, as well as by posting a notice on the website, but does not require publication in a newspaper. That's in general circulation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for the clarification. Anyone else on council with a question? Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how into the meat and potatoes we want to get. But I'm just still concerned with some of the reallocations or zoning of certain sections.
Sure.
One being Edward Street and Creemore, where it was industrial, and now we're recommending it all be residential. I'm just wondering if the county, which owns the old property where the dump site was and whatnot, have we had communications from them, like about them zoning that to residential? Or did they have any concerns that it should stay industrial being an old dump site?
Perhaps Amy, do you want to lead that, or Steve? I'm not sure who would like to speak to that. Go right ahead, team.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm certainly happy to start with an answer to that question. So the County of Simcoe was certainly consulted on this change. They are amenable to the change from industrial to residential for the long-range planning consideration. It appears as though other landowners in the area are also amenable, notwithstanding that there are some existing uses that are of an industrial nature in that area, including the county's waste, their storage facility there. And so those legal non-conforming uses, or what will be legal non-conforming, potentially will be permitted to continue. So I'm happy to have Steve or Patrick chime in as well if you wish.
Yeah, Steve, Patrick.
Sure. Thank you, Amy. Through you, Mayor. I think I would just emphasize, in addition to that, that an official plan land use change, doesn't really influence the continuation of an existing land use, that can continue for as long as that use is deemed necessary by the owner of the land. And that applies to that county-owned property as well as the other properties in the area. And we've kind of gone one step further for that area to identify some special policies to recognize that there are some uses that aren't consistent with the new land use designation. So it's more of a direction to the long-term view of what logically in a community-wide context the appropriate land use should be, but doesn't require the landowner to have to change their land use. I would just also add that the zoning in your zoning bylaw remains as it is today, so it will continue to permit and zone those lands as it does today until such time as the township undertakes a zoning update and considers changes that way, or if the landowner were to come forward with a rezoning application.
All right, thank you. Patrick, I think he's got something more. Go ahead, Patrick.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, just to address the former waste management site. We did receive specific communication and direction from Simcoe County. They specifically directed that site no longer be identified as a waste management site. And I'll direct your attention to the table in Appendix D to the recommendation report, specifically comments number 11 and number 22, which were comments received from Simcoe County regarding the well, number 11 is brief. So in regards to the Edward Street property, this email is to confirm that solid waste management is in agreement that the lands would be more appropriate in the residential designation.
Robert?
Okay, I went through most of them. I missed that one, so thanks for pointing that out. One other question I had on page 10 was regarding I guess consent to separate excess dwellings and whatnot in rural situations, and the term try to not make the lot keyhole size. So how set in stone is that in order? I understand some places where the houses are deep into the lot that it would have to be a keyhole to keep it in that 1 hectare size limits. Comments?
Go ahead, Patrick.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the wording of these policies, we do recommend softening it from shall to should, meaning that every reasonable step should be taken to avoid such a configuration, but in recognition that there will be situations that this sort of configuration is necessary or will fulfill other objectives, such as making sure that land remains in agricultural productivity. So the change from shall to should means it's still ideally not, but not an absolute requirement to avoid such a configuration.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions and points. Any other members of council? This is the second time? No? How about the third time? Nothing further? All right. Amy, do you want to close with anything? Do you want to have anything else you want to add on how we're communicating this perhaps if it does pass?
Thank you, Your Worship. If we receive a favorable decision from council tonight, we will be getting to work first thing in the morning to send this package to the County of Simcoe for consideration for final adoption.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, I have nothing further. If you have nothing further on this. All right. Thank you very much to our associates who have been working on this project. And thank you, Amy, and you and your staff. Members of council, you have a motion in front of you with the mover and seconder. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you so much. All right. So planning staff, you've got work to do in the morning. All right. We do have another very important item, council, as all items in our agenda are important, but we do have this finance item. It's called the 2024 budget package. We're going to go to our treasurer here in a minute. I must say it's a nice, short, simple recommendation. So it's not a lengthy multi-part item. So I appreciate that. Recommendation, be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 009-2024, the 2024 budget package dated May the 27th, 2024. And item 1, that bylaw 2437 is to approve the passing of the 2024 tax rate at a blended increase of 3.68%, be presented at the May 27th, 2024 meeting for approval. Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Mr. Broderick, thank you. Council, do you have any questions to our finance director, or would the finance director like to start things off? Do you have anything you want to add? I know you've been working diligently to get this report to us at the end of May, which you did promise back in February that you would do that. So here it is. Well done.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the rest of council, through Your Worship, I just wanted to point out that we were expecting around a 4.5% increase. So when I added in all the blended figures and the county rates and growth, I was pleased to see we're in under 3.4.
Wonderful. 3.68. Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Seeing no questions. Council, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you so much. Thank you again to the finance department. A lot of work goes into this. Now that moves over to the tax collecting department. They have to deal with this now. Good for them. All right, council, we're going to move to legislative services. Our clerk's department have a report for us with a recommendation. I'll read it and I'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 020-2024. It's in regards to the council meeting format and procedure bylaw update dated May 27, 2024. Item 1, the council approve remaining with the current regular council meeting format and not proceeding forward with a committee of the whole structure. And item 2, that staff be directed to begin the process of updating the current procedure bylaw, which will include scheduling a special meeting of council to review staff's proposed procedural rule changes and to receive additional recommendations, feedback, and direction from council before final approval. I'll take a mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Mr. Walker, thank you. Mr. Walker. Madam Clerk, do you want to speak to this briefly?
Thank you, Worship, through you to the rest of council. This is long overdue. The mayor has been checking in with me quarterly since I've returned from my leave to ask when this was going to be brought forward to council. So I'm happy that it is finally here. The last term of council, at the beginning of that term, there was a discussion about moving towards a committee of the whole structure. That was passed. However, that never moved forward due to the pandemic. And then by the time the clerk's department found a new clerk, we were halfway through the term, well, more than halfway through the term. So it didn't make sense to change our meeting format at that time. So now that we're in a new term of council, it was appropriate to bring this report back, see what this new council term would like to do, and then move forward with drafting a procedure bylaw from there.
All right, thank you very much. Members of council, any questions to our clerk? Council? Yes, go ahead, Paul.
So I'm just clarifying, we are not voting on this tonight. We're just receiving this report, at which time, once you bring it back to us, we will vote on the options, or do you want us to make a vote tonight on the options presented?
Item 1 would be the approval to remain with the current format and not move to committee of the whole. But item 2 is sending it back to the staff to prepare a revised procedure bylaw. So there's 2 actions out of this motion. Is that helpful?
Yep.
Is that right? Yes. Thank you. All right.
I think it's something that, I'll just speak a bit to it if it's okay.
Sure,
with
yeah,
you.
go ahead.
As a county councillor, we do work with committee of a whole as well. And it does seem to work for their different functions and stuff like that and assignment of duties. So, but I do enjoy this the way it is right here.
Yeah, very
Thank
good.
you.
Well, it is about being effective and efficient, right? That's what we need to do. Members of council, anything further? All right, then I'm very much in support of this finally being on our agenda. And I look forward to working with the clerk's department and having this meeting. And we'll also look to the public from some of their input as well in that workshop session for sure. It will be a council meeting, but it'll be more of a workshop session as we bounce ideas around on how we would do it. Okay. Members of council, we've got a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, going on to LS 021. This is the West Nottawasaga Church Cemetery transfer request. Okay, recommendation be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 021-2024 West Nottawasaga Church Cemetery transfer dated May 27, 2024. Item 1, that council approve the transfer request submitted by the West Nottawasaga Church Cemetery Board for the township to become the owner and operator of the cemetery located at 7993 3334 Side Road, which includes ownership of the cemetery lands. And item 2, that staff be directed to work with the Township Legal Counsel, the Cemetery Board, and the Bereavement Authority of Ontario to complete the transfer. Mover and seconder, please. Deneen, thank you. Beelan, thank you. And would you like to speak to this as well, Madam Clerk? Sasha?
Thank you, Worship, through you to the rest of council. I just want to make note as to why the recommendation is worded the way it is. According to Robert's Rules of Orders, we don't normally have a recommendation in the negative. So this is why we put it in the positive to accept the transfer. If council's not willing to accept the transfer, they would simply vote the recommendation down. Throughout the report, I do a fulsome overview of the background as to how we were approached by the cemetery board. Similar to the township, They are in need of assistance. Volunteerism with many cemetery boards across Ontario are declining. Currently, this cemetery board only has one remaining member on the board. In my report to council in December 2023, I highlighted all the issues that we have with maintenance of cemeteries, limited care and maintenance funds, records. These boards experience the same things that council experiences. If council has any specific questions regarding anything that's contained in the report, I would be happy to answer it. I will say that the representative did cue me into one small change in the report. I did say that the cost for a plot is $800 plus $320 for care and maintenance. That $800 actually includes care and maintenance. So the $320 is within that amount. However, if council was amenable to the transfer request, all the fees and charges for the cemetery would be reviewed prior to opening up any more interments there.
All right. Members of council, any questions to our clerk? Going once, twice? Oh, yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I believe at our last meeting, there were some conditions. So have all conditions been met, or will that be part of the procedure once we approve or not approve this motion?
Through your worship to Councillor MacArthur, are we talking about the 2 parcels of land and one being in the name of the... So the trustees of the Presbyterian Church did approve at their meeting, I believe in April, to do that final transfer to the board. They are working on that with their lawyer, and their lawyer is working with our lawyer. They're from the same office to get that transfer complete. And that is a condition that if the township was willing to take the transfer, that it solely has to be in the name of the board prior to being applying to the BAO.
Regulations. Good call. All right, council, if there's nothing further, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? Okay. Yes, thank you. All right, that motion does carry. Thank you very much. Okay. Council, we're going to move to our bylaws. We have a couple here. We did have some removed, so I want to remind everybody that we did have some removed from our agenda. Okay, first bylaw is 2437. This is the tax rate bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2437, being a bylaw to set the tax rate and levies for the year 2024, be presented and read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 27th day of May 2024. Deputy Mayor MacArthur. Thank you. Council. The bylaw is in front of you. I'm prepared to call it. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you. And I don't think we have anything further, do we?
We do.
Well, we've got this little one right here. Okay, adopt the official plan. It has 2 schedules attached to the adoption, 2438. Okay. Be it resolved that bylaw 2438, being a bylaw to adopt the plan as the official plan of the Township of Clearview, be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 27th day of May 2024. Can I have a mover and seconder? Ms. Deneen, thank you. Seconder, Mr. Walker, thank you. Council, you've got the bylaw in front of you regarding our official plan. I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. Again, as an item of interest, all of these bylaws regarding the development charges have been removed and put on the next motion or next meeting. So that will wrap up our bylaws at this time with notice of motion, new business. Anybody have anything? Yes? Oh, the clerk has a new business item. Go ahead.
I would just recognize and thank our new camera operator, Emma Coleman, who did an amazing job tonight, actually moving the camera to the different locations. So thank you, Emma.
Well done, Emma. You know what, Emma? To be a real camera op, I'm going to get you a little headphone with a microphone, you know, 'cause that's an image that I know very well. So good for you. Thank you for joining us here in the chambers tonight. If there's nothing further, council, our bylaw to confirm the proceedings. Recommendation bylaw 2439 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 27, 2024 council meeting be presented and read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 27th day of May 2024. Mr. MacArthur, Mr. Broderick, thank you. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you. This is our motion to adjourn. We've got a busy week ahead of us and we've got a busy weekend and lots of things on the go. So we'll see everyone there at multiple events. Motion to adjourn. Be it resolved. The council will be adjourned at, and it is 7:07 PM. And that'd be moved by Deneen and seconded by Walker. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries. Thank you. This council meeting will be adjourned and thank you so much for joining us.